Hello and welcome back to the Carry Out Conversations podcast, where we get carry out and we carry out conversations. I'm Noah.
I'm John.
I'm Dave.
And today we are talking about eat, pray, love.
But
mostly eat. Yeah, mostly eat. So we're essentially going to be talking about why food is always it tends to be a communal thing. Like whenever you go to an event.
Wait, so we're actually talking about food on this podcast?
Yeah, we are, for once.
Nice.
We've
The podcast that starts with food every time we record, but
Right.
we don't actually
don't
talk
talk
about
about
food.
So, most of the discussions we've had so far are more like deep. They're cultural. They're interpersonal. And so, what's cool about this topic is we're talking about how food relates to culture and communal events in general, which kind of puts the idea of the podcast and what we've been doing with the podcast together for the first time.
Right.
So it'll be really cool to actually have a conversation and flesh those ideas out. So weddings.
They suck.
Yes, they're a thing that happens.
They are a thing that happens. So wedding food, catering. You think it sucks, Jonathan?
I do. I don't like wedding food. Now, I will specify, being the only married person on this podcast.
Oh, you gotta sell me out, bro.
Yeah, well, sorry. I'm going to leave you out to dry. We had some decent food. Now, we did not hire a caterer because we were poor, and we just, we had somebody out of our church that was willing to do it for us, and they made some really good food. At the same time, I didn't get to enjoy much of that food. Because of being my wedding, it's like every time we got ready to take a bite, somebody was coming up. Somebody was saying something, congratulations, happy, life, whatever. When's the cake? That's really all people ever come for is the cake. They don't ever come for the actual food. They don't even come for the actual wedding. They come for the cake. And if anybody can prove me wrong,
I will prove you wrong. Two things. One, most wedding cake is overrated. I've had so many places. I've gone to so many weddings in my life because I have a really large family. And normally, the food is not, it's like okay. It's not that bad, But the cake is always overblown. They put too much frosting on it or they put the wrong type of frosting. It's just messed. Like, it's just not. Wedding cake is overrated. But wedding bars... That's my jam.
yeah, see, I don't drink, so I wouldn't.
Yeah,
You can drink the
neither.
cake.
Know
You can
that
drink
part.
the cake. You put it in a blender.
Okay, that would be called a milkshake.
There's no
A
ice.
wedding cake milkshake is actually really good.
Okay, that
I will
sounds like
say
a good
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to like the general topic, why do we associate, for example, the concept of a wedding, where it's like the idea of two people spending the rest of their lives together, and then that being the foundation of the family, and that being the foundation of society, the family growing out and being the foundation of society. Why do we associate food and celebration with like the concept of a wedding, for example?
See, and that's something that I've never quite understood myself because, and I know we're going to talk about other things as well, but it's not just wedding. It's everything is brought together by food. Something about food just brings people together. And, it's like, is there an actual explanation for it? I can never find one because I can get some of the people that I just dislike the most into a room with a bunch of good food and I'm happy for the entire time that I'm sitting there eating. And then, there's times where just food just does not even help. I mean, it just depends on the...
Honestly, if I'm going to spend like 2 or more hours of my time anywhere, there better be food provided. Like if I'm coming to your party or to help you move or to this family gathering with a bunch of people I barely know, there better be something.
Right. And that does seem to be the kind of thing, especially, and I don't know about the rest of the world, obviously, because we're Americans and, it's like I've never traveled outside of this country. But that seems to be the thing is no matter what goes on, people expect there to be food. Like you said, moving. I remember when I got ready to move from Arkansas to here, I had some people come and help me. And one of the first guys that came up was like, when's the pizza going to be here? Like that was his first question, you know. It's
that's the typical moving fare. It's like pizza and pop.
Yeah, because it's easy, you know, but
it's a crowd pleaser.
It's not worth it. Like, if you ever move with somebody, the pizza is never worth it. Now, it's better because you've worked hard and you're hungry, so when you eat after hard labor, like, the food tastes better. But it's normally not worth it. Or the pizza gets there too early, everyone just eats the pizza, and the moving stops for the day.
Yes. Yeah, that happens quite a bit too.
So,
but, like, you know, it's interesting, though, is like we've said before, is like food just brings us together, and it's an expected thing, you know. And it reminds me of one of my favorite comedians, Jim Gaffigan. He is hilarious, and every single thing that he talks about is food. Like, it's food related, and it's just it kind of hits home with me because I do like food, you know. But like one of the jokes that he ended up saying was he was talking about, you know, getting together with family, and it's like, hey, we better eat before we go get something to eat. And then, you know, we sit down in a restaurant. It's like, oh, we should probably eat. And hey, after that, you want to get something to eat afterwards? You know, basically talking about, like, every little thing just has to do with food. And it just, it makes me wonder sometimes, like, what would happen if, like, there was no food? You know, would people even show up? I mean,
nope.
You know, that's the thing.
So that, any of you seen Kroll show? You know, Nick Kroll, the comedian?
I know him. I've never seen it.
No, okay. So, he has this joke, and it's really similar to that. And it's like, your friend who studies abroad in Germany for a year comes back, and it's like, oh, what'd you do in Germany? And it's like, oh, we wake up and we have a cigarette, and then we work for a half hour and have something healthy like a chocolate bar or a cigarette, and then we go dancing, and then we have a chocolate cigarette. And I don't know, that just reminded me, because like every time you think he's about to say something productive, it just goes back to
reverts
food.
to the same thing.
But
yeah.
I think something that is really important in how people relate to food is food works as a bridge. It's not just a promise for where you're going, but it's like almost an invitation, because people they're comforted by food, and they feel safe. Like, if someone is safe eating around you, then it's like, there you go. You can spend the rest of your life with that person. If you can just share a meal together, it's like there's a friendship, there's a relationship. And it's weird how food kind of plays that very important role. If you asked a girl out and you were like, oh, let's go to dinner, she's like, okay, we're going to go to dinner. But if you're like, hey, let's go bowling, and no, you can't get food, like, she's going to say no. Yeah. Like, food is often an invitation to something as well.
You can get food at a bowling alley. It's not good food, but...
Right, what the point I mean is, like, when people ask to spend time with you, if we know food is not going to be there, we are we're much less interested.
Yep.
Even if it's a subconscious thought.
Yeah. I mean, just like today, if it wasn't for the fact that we had tacos before we got down here, I probably wouldn't be down here today.
No.
I'm just saying. I mean, the tacos are what lured me into the into the Dave Cave.
The Dave Cave.
You know, it's like, but that's the thing though, is like, we expect it, and you know, it's just like when you have a surprise birthday party, or you have a birthday or something, you know, and somebody brings out the cake. You've expected that for the entire year.
Yeah.
Leading up to your birthday. You've expected this cake to come out. But what do? Oh, that's a surprise. How nice. No. Just, you know, it'd be like, yeah, it's about time. Give me the freaking cake.
I've been waiting a whole year for this.
Exactly.
No, first we have to go through a ritual where we light a bunch of tiny fires on top of the cake and make you blow it out.
Okay, no. The best part about that is how after a certain age they give up. Okay.
So the candles start getting short, like less and less.
Yeah. So, because when you're like 12, it's like, we're gonna put 12 little candles. But when you're 36, no one's putting like 36 individual candles.
No.
Or they just do the dumb thing where they fill the whole thing with candles when they're like 5.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And it's like,
you're eating a bunch of wax.
You're getting wax in it. You're removing all the frosting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Guys, this is not about your kid. It's about food strategy.
Exactly.
I don't care if Timmy's happy. I care if I get a proper slice of his cake.
Absolutely. And see, that's the thing though. It's like, if I invited you to my birthday party, which, pity party for me. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I've only had 2 birthday parties in my lifetime.
Really?
Yeah. My birthday is right after Christmas.
Oh, so
And
you're one of those freaks.
yeah, I never actually had a birthday party, And so, but if I invite you to my birthday party, but I tell you, it's like, yeah, we're going to get together. We're going to go to my house and just kind of sit and play games or whatever. What's going to be your first thought?
What are we having for
What are
dinner?
we having for dinner?
Yeah.
Are we getting pizza? Are we getting sushi?
Right.
Stop
Tacos?
saying sushi, man. You're making me hungry. I just ate too. It's like
Yeah, but sushi's kind of that.
You guys want to get sushi after this?
I can't.
We should probably get something to eat after this. Kind of keep our stamina up.
Strength up.
Wait, stamina is not the right word for this.
Yeah.
But, it's like, even going to kind of like taking a serious note for a second is, even funerals is like food.
Yeah, you at least have a cold cut tray or something.
Yeah. And it confuses me because, okay, we watched something last night and as a family, and my daughter had asked because it was like a grieving process and during the show, and somebody brought a casserole, and my daughter asked, like, why is it always a casserole? Well, because it's easy to keep up with. You could store it for a while. You can reheat it multiple times and things like that. But then you start thinking about it. It's like when you get into a funeral and you go through the whole thing, and, certain places, like, for instance, when my grandpa died, my church held a, like, I don't want to say like a banquet, but it was like they made dinner for the family.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It was cool. It was really cool. It was really nice. They treated us very well, made some really good food. But then some of the most random family members that you've never seen before show up, and they're like, what about this? Do you have this type of food? Do you have this? And it's like, it's like they,
And that's the reason why we don't see those family members very often. We don't want them around.
Yeah. But it's like, it just seems to be,
Who complains about free food?
You would be surprised.
It depends on if the free food sucks. Like,
But it's free, though. That's the thing.
it's still gross.
I mean, like, in the case
It's
of moving,
less gross
if
than it
it's-
would be if it cost you money.
If it's, like, expected because I'm helping you do something sort of as a form of payment, I can see complaining about that a little if it's terrible. But, like, if you show up to someone's funeral, I want different food. Like, who does that?
Screw you, guy.
I mean,
Okay, and that's the other thing. Like you said with the casserole. What do you not see at weddings? Casseroles. Why? It's funeral food.
Mhm.
Or it's breakfast
it's
food.
comfort food.
It's comfort food, exactly. So a wedding, it's like, what do we expect? We expect something a little bit nicer, or like chicken, or like fish, or
Prime
something.
rib.
Prime rib. It's an expensive wedding you got going there.
Hey,
Nah, man, we're gonna get some Tyson nuggies and just she'll deal with it. It's
they
fine.
gotta be dino nuggies, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to your wedding.
Yeah, dino
That sounds
nuggies
awesome.
and crinkle fries.
I'm down.
Tell me that's not the best wedding ever. And we'll take all the money we would spend on everything else and we'll put it towards the cake.
See, there you go.
Except the cake will be a pie, because
Oh.
pie is better than cake.
No, see, pie
Eh.
is not wedding material.
Cake is
though.
funeral food. Pie is wedding food.
No, it's
Where
the
is
other
a
way.
cake a funeral food? What funeral have you been to where there was a cake?
Right?
You guys have never had a cake at a funeral?
No.
Or like, no. You know
Because
what?
cake is celebration.
Yeah, we're
You're
celebrating.
this person died.
No, we're celebrating the life they lived.
Who cuts the
Okay,
cake?
okay. You said the widow.
Oh. No, see, that's just
Brownies. Brownies are funeral food.
brownies are a funeral in its own.
Okay, you don't even like brownies?
I don't like brownies.
Why?
I like
It's-
good brownies, but I have understandably, I've seen disappointing brownies
Mhm.
at like social events, and I'm like, ooh, brownie, it's gonna be chewy and moist,
It's
and
dry.
yeah, and it's not very chocolatey, and it's just
So that's okay. Here, this actually brings up an interesting like thought to mind. So, food and social events, because we're talking about how it relates to people and culture. When you know who made something, it affects the way you approach the food,
Yes.
and you will either be pleasantly or upsettingly surprised.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, Aunt Kathy made those, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Aunt Kathy is a great cook. We know exactly what this tastes like. It's gonna be great.
Mhm.
If it sucks, you're surprised. Like
Mhm.
there's almost like a food, like there's a flavor morality, like the way we view people based on how good they cook or what they bring to events.
Mhm.
You know,
shame on you for not putting in the effort, Aunt Kathy.
well,
Right.
no, but it seriously
Yeah.
is interesting. Like the way we view people is not obviously it's not the most important factor in how we view the people in our lives, but it's something that comes up where the way we have a view of someone is the food that they bring
Mhm.
or that they produce.
Well, I mean, that's just like, and you say that as it's not like an important thing, but in some cases it is, though,
Mm-hmm.
because when you look for a wife or, women, when you look towards a husband, one of the questions, at least down south, one of the questions is, can they cook? And if they can't, I'm sorry, you're not very mate material, mate
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, it's that thing where, yeah, it is kind of an important part. Because, I mean, then that depicts if you're going to have a great home cooked meal every night, or if you're going to have, a rising stock in McDonald's because you're there every night. I mean, that was something that, and it's funny too, because something that you brought up, on, people tend to look at events based on who brings what. And there have been times where I've been with family and I'm mainly like, my wife can cook. She can cook really well. A lot of times I kind of do a lot of the cooking just because I like to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll go to events and somebody will be like, "Oh, John, this is great." Yeah, I didn't make that. Oh, what? It's like, yeah, Amanda made that. Or Amanda, my wife will say, yeah, it's like, I made that. And they'll be like, oh. Like, it's just kind of like you could tell, like, at the same
Sure.
time, it's kind of like you see it on their face that, oh, I put more stock into this than what I thought I was going to, or whatever. And that's not to say anything, because I know she kind of listens to the show, so I'm not, like, demeaning her cooking at all. She does an amazing job with that. It's just interesting how people, like you said, they tend to look at others and be like, I know you can cook, so you're going to be my friend from now on.
Mm-hmm. You
That
just
type of thing.
acquire, see, like how much of the time in our lives we're acquiring people that we know in the future will provide us with delicious things.
Exactly.
Well, I think everyone should be able to at least follow a recipe. Like, if you don't have that innate sense,
Mhm.
that's not a deal breaker. But
Yeah.
if it's clearly written out in front of you and you still can't follow it, then we have a problem.
Well, cooking and cleaning are kind of synonymous with being able to care for oneself.
Mhm.
Like if you're an adult grown man, you cannot feed yourself food that is decently healthy for you, and you cannot clean your frickin' room. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like good frickin' luck, dude.
I feel attacked.
I kind of do too, just because my room area is not the cleanest.
Well, I cleaned my room yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty okay right now.
Do you get your allowance
Oh.
too?
Mr. Moral High Ground over here.
His mom made him clean his room. Everybody, that's just
Yeah.
sorry. I just kind of had to.
Yeah,
fill
you
that
had to
one.
let him know.
Yeah. Your mom's awesome. I will say that your mom is cool. But something that I want to know is, what do we associate? We kind of talked about this a little bit, but what do we actually associate with food? We talked about it. Weddings, cake. Funeral, not cake.
Brownies.
brownies. That is kind of like the depression of cake. When you really think about it, I mean,
There's a such thing as a good brownie and a satisfying brownie. You just don't find them
Cookie
everywhere.
brownies.
yeah. See, something about brownies just is not.
It's because you never had a cookie brownie.
Pretty sure I have. I just don't remember. I remember more cakes than I do brownies.
Speaking of cookies, have you guys been to Crumble?
Yes,
Dude,
that is an amazing place.
dude, it's so good. I just get the chocolate chip every time.
Yes, yeah, I don't.
I just get the classic chocolate chip, that in a glass of milk, and it's like, oh, coma for a month, dude.
I like the variety of it. But we think about that type of stuff, and it's like, what else do we associate? Like, what food do we associate with certain things? I know like the general go-to. Okay, Thanksgiving. What do we always eat at Thanksgiving?
Turkey,
Cranberry
sauce, mashed potatoes, stuffing.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't think the cranberry sauce thing made sense. But a few years ago, I just tried it out, dude.
Okay,
It's a game changer.
Now here's a question: like cranberry sauce or the jelly?
You mean like actual cranberries or
Yeah, like because they have it where none of my family made cranberry sauce. We always just bought the can and that's what we did.
Yeah.
But you've got the type that has like just the jelly in it, where it's just the red loaf or whatever, and then you have some that actually have like the cranberries
actual
into
cranberries, 100% actual.
Yeah, see, I'm more the jelly.
I like having real cranberries.
Dude, honestly, I'm not that picky. I would eat SpaghettiOs for Thanksgiving. I'm like straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like turkey.
Take that back right
I know that's weird. I don't really like turkey.
Okay.
It's too dry.
It is.
It depends on who cooks it and how it's cooked. There are ways to make turkey better than that.
True. You can deep fry it.
No.
Deep fried turkey is amazing.
That should be illegal. That's
it
wrong.
was for a while because people were blowing them up. I would recommend looking on
Wait,
YouTube.
are you serious?
Yes, looking
That's a
on
thing?
YouTube.
Yeah,
when
turkey fryers are
first...
dangerous because people are idiots and don't understand how to use them safely.
Yes. Just for a side note, people, if you decide to use a turkey fryer, thaw your turkey out 100% before you put it in. That was the main point. People were dropping completely frozen turkeys into these tubs of, boiling hot grease and watching them just explode.
Talk about how food relates to a funeral.
Death by turkey.
That's the worst way to go. Like, you imagine that on your tombstone. It's like he died doing what he loved, making turkey.
Making turkey.
And then they serve turkey cold cuts at the funeral.
So we associate. What's really interesting is we associate candy with Halloween.
Yeah.
That's a weird one to me. It's like the holiday where we talk about all evil things, and it's like Smarties.
Well, the candy is evil.
Smarties are not evil.
Candy is prepackaged. What are you gonna do? Hand out brownies? Like, here you go.
Honestly,
Throw this in your pillowcase,
Dude,
and walk around with it.
honestly, like it would be kind of dope if people handed out baked goods during Halloween. Like, you die
Yeah.
because you have to eat it before you get to the next house. It'd be kind of cool.
Well, that's not the only reason. I mean, that's not the only reason you would die, though, probably.
People would
Because,
poison it.
well, there's no telling what people put in that stuff.
Friend-
That's why you don't do it.
Friendship.
Yeah, no.
They put friendship and happiness.
Baked with love.
Yeah.
And a few other secret ingredients.
Smarties.
Smarties.
Yeah, so we associate candy with Halloween, turkey with Thanksgiving. Okay. Ham or chicken for Christmas?
Ham.
I vote ham.
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 Because Dr. Seuss would argue roast beef.
I wouldn't not eat roast beef for Christmas.
It's not Christmas food. I think chicken is Christmas food.
See, that's another one, though, because I think we get chicken no matter what. I mean, you can get chicken literally anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't, I mean, you can buy like a chicken taco. You can buy a chicken burrito. You can't buy a ham burrito. I mean, imagine if you could. I would eat it.
I can go to most like Wow Kitchens and get a ham and cheese sandwich.
Okay,
That's
ham
not
and
a
cheese
burrito.
sandwich. That's not a burrito.
Or a taco.
No, but like ham, which is the alternative to chicken in this scenario,
Mhm.
is also readily accessible.
But
I can get
chicken is-
that in a Lunchable, dude.
But chicken, okay, that's not ham. That is not ham at all. That is like, That's like the byproduct of ham. That's like the little grease gelatin that you see at the bottom of the pan after cooking the ham.
So good.
No, that's gross.
It's so good.
Actual ham is the way to go.
So actual ham is really overrated. Also, you got to trim the side of it. Whatever is on the side of it where it's like all fatty and gristly, it's just bad. It's bad.
Well, yeah, I guess it just depends on how you cook it too.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing.
So if you went to an event like a wedding and the catering was just awful, like would you leave?
No, but I wouldn't stick around for the entire thing. I would say my goodbyes and congratulations, and then I would
The
leave.
food comes out, you don't even take a bite. You're just like, it's been real.
Yeah. Sorry, gotta go. Thanks for coming to my wedding. Yeah, no, I would.
Oh, as the groom, you would leave.
Yes, yeah. As the groom, I would leave.
We're getting out of
if
here.
the food was that bad.
I think it's kind of a weird thing that I feel like weddings can run longer, but I don't think the bride and groom should have to stay.
No, I don't either.
Like if people want to stay and enjoy the party a little longer, it's fine. The whatever hall or whatever place it's being run at, they'll have a cutoff time, and they'll enforce that themselves.
You know, and weddings are the first half of the wedding, like the actual ceremony. Yes, is for the bride and the groom. It's for the bride mainly, because that is her day. That's her moment to shine. You know, when that's something that a lot of brides have been waiting for, you know, since childhood, is walking down the aisle at a beautiful church and having the beautiful gown and stuff like that. As soon as
release the doves.
Yeah, you know, release the doves, throw the rice, and you know, all good times. Everybody knows the wedding night, that's for the man. I mean, I'm sorry, like, you know, that was something my pastor even told me, is like, yeah, the wedding is for the bride, the night is for you.
Right.
Everything in between
is for the guests.
Is for the guests. And I felt okay. And again, when being my wedding, we didn't get to eat a lot. Like literally, after we got home, we went to Olive Garden.
Nice.
And that was our meal because we didn't get to eat. Like we didn't even get like really a piece of the cake at the time, because every time we would sit down to try to eat, people were coming up, and it was almost like a dance monkey type thing of, you know, it's like you got to stand up, congratulations, give hugs, kisses, you know, thanks for coming, that type of thing. So great to see you, you've never met you before, you know, and then you sit back down and then you got to get up and do it all again. And it was just the entire time that we were there, yeah, that was for the guests. And I did not enjoy that part at all. I will say that, you know, with all truthfulness. Because I didn't get to enjoy anything.
So anyone that went to Jonathan's wedding, I hope you're listening.
Suffer.
Some of them will be listening.
Yeah. And maybe they shouldn't have hugged you.
Maybe
they should have helped you get food. You should have like grabbed some of your groomsmen and been like, "Look, guys, I'm hungry. Your job is to keep these people off of me."
Well, see, that's what I was hoping would happen.
They were like, "He'll be fine."
Yeah, but the problem was most of them were the ones that were interrupting us. Oh, we got to go take pictures. No, I want to eat. I was fat then. I'm fat now. I want food. Okay.
New wedding tradition. Instead of, you know, taking pictures or hugging the bride and groom and saying congratulations, bring them a plate of food. At least some hors d'oeuvres. I
would be okay with that. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah. Well,
be like, oh, congratulations, here's a cheese ball.
Wedding photos are the worst.
They are.
And they do mean a lot to the bride often. It's like, oh, I want to look back, and we'll have these beautiful images to remember. It's like, just don't forget. Like we need like maybe 4 photos. It's like, okay, you have a photo with each extended family, and it's like, okay, the grandparents, and then you and the bride, and like you and their parents, and it's like, that's it. Take like 8 photos, snap, and then we're done.
Yes.
It takes 10, 15 minutes tops, but it's like it every time. It's like, oh, it'll be quick. It's a 45-minute ordeal.
Yes.
And it's hell.
Because the photographer's standing there like, oh, now switch to this position, take half a step to your right and face upwards at a 90-degree angle. And
my wedding photographer is going to be like my future wife's like nephew with an iPhone and a tripod.
I mean, as long as it gets the job done.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. Camera phones are advancing all the time. They're
Mhm.
constantly getting better and better, and it's one of the main selling points. So
Yeah, but it's not the same thing as. Not to go into photography right now, it's not the same thing as having a larger sensor. Like,
no, I get
these
that.
sensors are tiny. Ask any photographer. Like,
Mhm.
a real camera will always do better than these for that reason.
I understand that, but like, I'm not gonna spend money on a real person to hold a real camera.
You will if your wife
Yeah.
says
If
so.
if she wants it, you're getting it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like find a girl from like a Louisiana bayou, whose like only family is alligators. I'm just gonna marry her, and she'll have like such low expectations. I'll turn on a light, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh."
Wow.
You're gonna hire a gator photographer.
I said most of that to offend Jonathan.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not from Louisiana, so it doesn't offend me.
My
that
family,
much,
my family is
but-
from the South, Jonathan. Okay.
But
A
you just offended like the
photog-gator
entire state of Louisiana.
Hey man, I watch their shows.
They don't have electricity, so how do they have shows?
No, the film crews come to them. All right. You ever seen those? What is it? Those Gator Hunter shows? And every episode is the same thing. It's like, I'm running out of tags. Don't film this part. And then they shoot an alligator
Oh gosh.
that they don't have a tag for, and then the show ends.
Okay. So, side note, somewhat, but back on topic. Have you ever had gator?
Yes, I had gator jerky when I was like 13.
That I've never had.
Yeah.
Never tried it.
It's really good. I think it's good. We used to go to a place down south. It was like right on the Louisiana-Arkansas border. And every year there was a truck that would come in and he had gator on a stick. And what he would do is he would cut off like parts of the tail and would deep fry it. And it almost looked like a corn dog type thing.
Oh wow.
But I mean, it was so good. Like, and I remember that. Like, that was something that I always remember. I don't remember a whole lot about the event that we went to. I just remember gator on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, that kind of goes right back into what we talk about. It's like, what do we associate with food? Like, what's a special event that you guys have had outside of weddings, funerals, those types of things?
Yeah. It's brought to your memory because of food.
Because of food.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So my grandmother makes these things called German pancakes. It's literally just a crepe. It's literally just a flat crepe, no filling, nothing. But it's like her special recipe for crepes.
Mhm.
And by special recipe, it's just a freaking crepe. But growing up, and when I was from like the time I was really, really little, like 5 or 6, we always called them German pancakes because we're German. So we're not going to let the French have anything that they made,
All right.
And so what we would do is we would put like just strawberries on them and like roll them up and eat them that way, or we would just throw like sugar on it and just roll it up and eat it with sugar.
Mhm.
It was the worst thing for us to eat, but I just remember so many mornings, waking up and just being like, Mimi, we gotta have more German pancakes. We gotta have more German pancakes. And me and my brothers and sister, just arguing over who gets the last one or how much batter is left. And she would be cooking for like an hour and a half making these things, and we'd be like, can we just please have one more batch, because they were so freaking good. So I mean, I don't like see her as much anymore. They live a little bit farther away than they did before, and growing up, like, you get busy and you don't see people as much. But I do have really fond memories of like my grandmother and my grandfather just like having breakfast and having German pancakes, or quote unquote not crepe German pancakes.
It's good to have those types of memories, especially with family members.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, I remember something not similar, but along the same lines, as far as like my grandma, my Nana always had a bowl of those orange slices. Those like those gummied orange slices, or whatever she always had a bowl of them. And that was what I remember. Like, of course I remember a lot of other things about her. She's still alive, and she, like, every time we go down there, she's all the time trying to send us back with food. It's just how my grandma is. She wants to feed whoever's there. But that's something specifically I remember is growing up, going to her house and there just being that bowl of the orange slices, and then there was like the different flavors, and we would always just pick through them and just eat the orange parts because that was all I liked. But what about you, Dave?
My grandmother used to serve me bacon grease on toast.
That actually sounds pretty
And
good.
That does sound
It
good.
was good. That's the thing, is I loved it.
Mm.
Yeah, I have a lot of fond food memories of my grandmother. A lot of times we would go over to her house like Sunday after church, and she would make these noodles called spatzels and serve them with bacon, because everything's better with bacon.
Of course.
So, yeah, like Sunday after church, that was always a good time.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting how a lot of times we view memories, especially with a grandmother, being
Mhm.
with food?
Mm-hmm.
It's like me and I remember like specific things about like, okay, me and my grandpa, on my dad's side. I spent so much time with him growing up, and there were times like I'd go over to his house and we had a pond kind of like off in the woods back behind their house, and we'd go out there and go fishing all the time. And whether we caught something or we didn't, it was just fun to go do that with my grandpa. But the one specific memory I have about my grandma was a dish that she made. It was a taco casserole, and it was like taco meat with corn and cheese, and then cornbread on the top.
Ooh.
And it was so amazing, just absolutely incredible. And I remember that growing up, and I even ended up getting the recipe. Unfortunately, after she died, but I ended up getting the recipe, and I make that every once in a while. And now that's like, every time I make it, I always tell my daughter and my wife about it. And it's like, yeah, this is what my grandma used to make growing up, and like this is what we ate a lot of times over at her house. And different foods have like those certain meanings.
Yeah, I'm coming over to your house next time you make that. You make it sound so good.
I'll bring you some. Like I'll bring you some, or I'll invite you guys over when we
Yeah.
do. I mean, it's good.
That is one of the things I really appreciate about John is he will just show up to work with delicious treats
Yes.
for everybody, and he'll like put them in these nice little cups and like hand them out. He's like, "This one's yours. This one's yours."
Oh, that's
So,
right. There was that moose that one time.
It was
That was so good.
Yep.
So good.
That was an experimental thing.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me to another question. Of for you guys, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the traditional style food, or do you prefer experimental type food? Because there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got, we talked about turkey, and you have your traditional oven roasted, and, you baste it every 30 minutes and it's been in the oven for hours. Or you have the experimental of you drop it in a vat of grease and, 15, 20 minutes later, or whatever, you've got a fully cooked turkey.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think the amazing thing about cooking is you're allowed to experiment. There are no rules as long as, you don't burn it or catch your house on fire.
Or poison somebody.
Yes.
That's not cooking. That's poisoning.
Well, if you don't cook it properly.
Yeah,
True.
you want to cook like your raw meats and such all the way through.
Hey, you guys don't eat raw meat?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
Do you like your chicken medium rare?
Dude, I hate when people make jokes like that. It's the raw chicken. Nothing is grosser.
Well, that's
to
a
me.
great way to die.
Eating raw chicken.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to derail this. How do you guys like your steak?
Medium.
Medium?
Just that little bit of pink, but I don't want it bleeding. I do not want my cow talking back to me as I'm trying to stab it with my fork.
So I like to soak it in a marinade at least an hour beforehand.
So when I make it at home, I get it medium rare.
Mm.
Okay. And then when I go out to eat, I ask for medium well. The reason is, if you ask medium well, they'll always give you medium.
Not all the time.
Normally.
It depends on where you go. It depends on where you go, because there are places that you will say medium well, and it's like well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Like they fished your steak out of a well.
Almost.
Well done steak is a crime.
Yeah. See, I like medium well because I like that little bit of a char on the outside, but I still like it just that, that tender and like the
Into pink.
chewy on the inside. I always have a hard time when I cook steak. Like I make steaks and I have a process that I do where I have to make them, but I always end up messing up just slightly. Either that's not fully done, and it's just a little too pink, or it's just a little bit too over. Like I can never find that medium.
Yeah, I have a similar problem. I'll pan fry it for so many minutes to sear it on the outside, and then I'll shove it in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
And I still haven't quite found the exact number of minutes where it comes out perfectly.
That's how Gordon Ramsay does it.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's how I got mine. I watched a lot of Gordon Ramsay videos.
Yeah. So like that's how we can do it.
Yeah. And see, I'm because we talk about like the experimental cooking and stuff like that. I am the type of person that the harder the dish to make, the better I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot make mashed potatoes to save my life. I always screw them up one way or the other. And I know that there are family members that'll listen to this and can attest. I screw mashed potatoes up royally. But yet, that taco casserole, I can make it spot on.
I have a different problem where if I'm trying a new recipe for the first time, it's almost perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can never make it that good again.
Mm-hmm.
So, mashed potatoes, do you guys think there should be any skin in them?
No.
I'm not opposed to it. I don't look for that specifically. Like, there's different types of mashed potatoes, like some with like a little bit of lumps and others that are perfectly smooth.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that picky about it.
So the reason I ask is like those smaller like red potatoes, if you leave some of the skin in it, I actually think it makes them better. Personal opinion.
Now the red potatoes kind of, there's something about those red potatoes that have that little bit of an extra taste with the skin. But like russets or something like that,
Yeah,
no,
russets
it just tastes too dirty.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no. But I mean like for the red potatoes specifically.
Yeah. And again, if I could ever make it properly, then it would be one thing, but I prefer my mashed potatoes like my peanut butter. I like it creamy and I like it smooth.
You are not only wrong, you are so wrong. It's not funny.
How?
Crunchy peanut butter is objectively better.
If I wanted to eat crunchy peanut butter, I would just eat peanuts.
It's different.
No, it's not.
It's different.
How?
It's swimming in peanut butter.
Think about what you just said for a second.
It's swimming in peanut butter.
Yeah,
it's peanuts swimming in peanut butter. So if you want to like technically make it on your own, you would blend up peanuts and then put it on a sandwich and then put peanut butter on top of it. That would be a substitute for crunchy peanut butter if you just happen to be stuck with creamy peanut butter, which is garbage.
Oh, it's good though.
It's awful.
I don't like a bunch of crunchy food, especially if
Gives
I'm
you
biting into a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel that crunch of the peanuts inside of it. It just does not. It doesn't sit well with me.
Do you toast your peanut butter jelly sandwiches?
No.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with you?
Have either of you had a peanut butter and Nutella sandwich?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
No, that one's good.
yeah.
That'll give you an early grave though, dude. I ate like 4 of those in one day.
Mhm.
I was just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, that's probably not good.
No.
Now, something that I would try, I would recommend trying is because you talked about Nutella. We do stuffed French bread rolls, or not French bread, French toast rolls is what I meant. Where you take a piece of bread, you kind of like smooth it out just a little bit, like you flatten it out. You put a little bit of Nutella inside of it, and then we put strawberry slices
Okay.
into it, and then you roll it up like almost like you would just like a burrito or whatever. You just kind of roll it up, and then you cook it like you would French toast. You dip it in the eggs, put a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on it, and then you cook it for a little bit. And I mean, it is absolutely gold. Like it is so good.
Sounds really, really good.
And that's like one of those experimental things that I like to try, because it's like that's the type of stuff that when I'm bored at home, that's what I do.
Did you make food?
I make food.
See, that's part of the joy of cooking. Like, there's a difference between learning a technique and a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
A technique means you can put whatever ingredients you want into it, but you're learning how to make a specific food. And then a recipe is you're going for this exact specific flavor profile that we've
Mhm.
gone for so many times before.
Right. I think I'm more of a technique than
Yeah.
recipe, because like you said, like, the first time I do a recipe, I can get it pretty well. Like, I make my own spaghetti sauce. I make my own barbecue sauce. I try to make my own pickles. I'm kind of like, I'm still learning on that one a little bit. But when I do like barbecue sauce or I do spaghetti sauce, I try to make it as close to store-bought as possible. And then I tweak it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can get my own flavors to be the same thing as pulling it out of a jar, then I think I've done fairly good.
Well, I would hope it's better than pulling it out of a jar.
Well,
Otherwise,
And it ends out probably better.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. But like, I don't like the whole, like, when people do their own spaghetti sauce or whatever, and they mush up the tomatoes, and it's like it just tastes like tomato soup basically. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
yeah.
So I try to throw whatever flavoring that I can to try to get it as close to the store bought as possible, because
Yeah.
I want to be that type of person to be like, try this one and try this one. Tell me which one's different, and that's how I try to make things. But
So with the whole like experimental food and relating back to the original topic of like how we experience food as community and how like events interact with food. If someone brings experimental food to certain events, it ruins the events. Even if it's good, it's like taboo. Which is there's almost a modesty aspect to food.
Yeah.
Like certain events demand traditional food. You don't have pizza for Thanksgiving. Or like you don't have like food fusion, like we're gonna do Thai and Mexican fusion for Thanksgiving. That would be almost a taboo culturally to do that.
One of my experiments became one of my staples at parties, though.
Oh yeah, which one was that?
Deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs are a typical party food, but I played with the recipe quite a bit and came up with some flavors that people seem to really enjoy.
Now, see, I've never been to a party with deviled eggs though. Like, I've had
It's like an adult party thing, I feel like.
maybe so. Like, I've had Thanksgiving, Christmas, specifically Christmas and Easter, we do deviled eggs.
Ooh.
With my house. But like going over to say like, a graduation party and there being deviled eggs there, I've never seen that or something, like that.
Deviled eggs are one of the foods that, well, they kind of have an odd texture in my opinion. But I don't want to eat them if I didn't see the person make them. Like,
oh well.
Because just the way they look and how involved the process is. I don't know.
You mash the egg yolks with mayo and some other stuff. How involved is that?
It's very involved.
I think it's like the whole thing of you're breaking down an entire egg. Like, people are using their hands to do this entire process.
This is true.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so, yeah.
I always wash my hands before I do that, because you got to peel the eggs, slice them in half, throw the yolks into a mixing bowl, and then set the whites out. Yeah.
Nah, man, you gotta like clean your hands, then you put on surgical gloves, like disinfect the counter, and then like every couple minutes you switch to new surgical gloves.
Some people do that.
It's got to be an involved. Well, so I used to work in the food industry, and I was a cook, right? So I would, I hate that term. I made the food.
Yeah.
Not like I worked at McDonald's, but I worked on a grill, right? And so I was always switching out my gloves. Dude, worst experience ever, because you have to wash your hands all the time. Your hands get super dry, and oh my gosh, there's like 100 bad stories with just having dry hands all the time.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, you got to think about that though. Is like you are touching somebody else's food. Like you are.
Oh yeah.
If you don't wash your hands after going to the bathroom or stuff like that, then it's like, are we really, like, I don't want to eat that. It's like, if I see your hands and they're pretty dirty, no. Right. I wash my hands at least 5 or 6 times when I'm cooking.
Oh yeah.
Or it could also be, if you think about it, I'm about to feed this to my friends.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to,
Yeah.
And that's why it's always unsettling when you see news stories about people in the food industry doing gross stuff to food.
Yeah.
It's like, I could be going there with my nephews or with my future children or my spouse or my friends, and it's like, if you're going to be serving someone food, yeah, the job kind of sucks. Like, it's not ideal. But at least recognize that what you're doing is feeding people. It is an important job, even if it's not viewed as like a high status job. It is an important one, and there is like some responsibility behind that people don't always acknowledge.
But see, I don't know if they don't acknowledge it or if they just don't care enough, because like you said, it is an important job. You are feeding people that come in. You know, you're at a restaurant, you're expected to get the food and eat it no matter what they do to it, unfortunately. You know, and it's just like all it takes is one person having a bad day to come in and just, you know, ruin a lot of people's nights because they just don't care anymore. And, you know, it's like, again, it just goes back to that, you know, the whole food process. Like one of my favorite things that Jim Gaffigan says, and it made me think about it. A couple of weeks ago we had Subway, and he has a bit where he talks about Subway, and he talks about it like, you know, we could sit at home and, you know, make a sandwich, or I can pay $6 and watch a sociopath make it for me, you know. And it's like, I mean, and you really think about that, and
Nobody who works at Subway is okay.
no,
It's not that they're not normal, they're not okay. Something happened in their life personally, recently, all the time. They always look like they're about to be on a Florida Man thing, or they look like they're about to be on the local 4 News.
yes,
Or something like that.
Yeah, it really does. It seems like it sometimes.
And they might not be bad people, they just look look really
right.
really sketch. The managers are the worst.
But you think about this too, though. Like, how many other places do you see the person actually making the food for you?
Yeah.
We went to Taco Bell today, and we sat there. We didn't actually see the people making our food. We just saw the person putting it in the bags for us and giving it to us.
Yeah.
You know, Subway is one of the only places that you can actually go in and watch them actually make your food for you. And they know that they can't do a single thing wrong because you are watching them the entire time. You know,
that's why they're sandwich artists. They're not like, that's why they're sandwich artists.
Yeah, they're not fast food employees. They're artists.
Yeah.
Some of them do a good job.
Dude,
I will say.
it's Subway. It's not that deep.
No, but Subway's better than other places.
I can just imagine somebody, you know, being like, I do not work at Subway. I am the sandwich artiste. And this is what I do.
I'm a concierge.
Yes.
I remember, you know, going into places down south. Again, now down south. I grew up down south. And I remember going to a place, and this is just something that's very kind of specific with me. We had a family friend that would always like go to random places to eat. And he actually took us to this place called the Butcher Shop. All right, it's a steak place. But what's weird about it is when you walk in, they take you through a line into the kitchen where everybody's making the food, and you literally pick the steak out of the refrigerator that you want them to cook.
That's really cool.
Nice.
It was cool. It was really interesting. But it made me so, like, I felt so weird, because it was another one of those things where you're walking back there, and the entire time people are walking back there, you've got an entire kitchen that's trying to cook around these people, and you could just see the look on their face. Like, one of them was about to just go on a massive, like, stabbing spree or something, because, you know, it's like you can just tell that they absolutely hated that part of the job. But, you know, as a customer, it was a really cool experience. As a worker, I think I would lose my mind. I lose my mind every time our boss brings somebody to the back, you know, where we work at. I could not imagine being in the food industry and having that same thing happen.
Oh, like when it's like, here's a customer, they have questions, and you're just like, go away.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
I'm looking at him like, who's this dude? He doesn't work here.
Right.
What's he doing back here? This is employees only.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so weird.
The funniest thing about our job is customers who just do it. Because there's 2 doors near one of the main entrances, and one of them leads to the back, and one of them leads to the regular entrance.
Mhm.
And so people will walk through that second door, walk right past Dave, and walk to the counter, and just be like, "Oh, hey, I want this." I'm like,
Where'd you come from?
"Did you come from behind me? Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, did you hop a fence? Like, how did you?" And so it's just kind of not off-putting, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
funny. The part that I think I find weird is we do have those customers that they'll be up at the front and talking, and then they'll literally just like walk through the back, and just like it just doesn't bother them at all. And I mean, I know there are certain people that kind of have like, I don't want to say they have the privilege, but they kind of have that standing where they've been a loyal customer for so long.
We're on a first name basis with them.
Yeah, it's like we know them, inside and out basically, but it's like still you can't walk into McDonald's and just walk to the back of the back of the store and just start talking to the person back there.
Have you tried?
No comment.
They probably won't stop you. Like, people are so unconfrontational. Like, people hate confrontation.
Sometimes.
So you can literally just walk back there and just be like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna make myself a sandwich."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just be like, "All right." Like, dude, if I worked at McDonald's and someone came back and just started making food, I'd just be like, "All right, can you make me one?"
Yeah, no.
I don't
See, again, it's that whole I don't know.
I'm
where
not
your
getting
hands
paid
have
enough
been.
to
No,
care.
I don't. Well, yeah, I'm not getting paid enough
true.
to care what he's making his own food or my food. That's different. Now, if he starts if he puts on an apron and starts making customer food, I'm gonna be like, "All right, I'll clock out. Here's my name tag."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, sometimes that's weird. Now, kind of a story time, and I've been on that. I know that I kind of tell stories a lot.
That's okay.
During this whole thing, but something that kind of just made me think about that is when I was growing up. I was my junior year of high school. We would have like a certain class with our principal, because we were a small school. We were a small like Christian school, so we didn't have a whole lot of people, a whole lot of teachers, that type of thing. So one class, my principal would actually teach us, and I think it was one of our math classes, if I remember right. But there were times where he was just like, "All right, you know what? We're not gonna have a lesson. Everybody go get in the van. We're gonna go get food. We're gonna go to lunch." And so we would go to CC's Pizza. I don't know if we have one of those around here or not. But CC's Pizza is it's a buffet where you kind of like they make certain ones of them out there. You go pick the slices or whatever. And so we went there one time, and we were just like, it would be so cool if we could just go back and make our own. Like, we started talking to the manager about it and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, we want to learn how to do pizzas. It's just so cool. It's like, come on back. And there's like 6 of us, and he took us all back there. We all got to make our own pizza and take it with us that day. Well, about a week later, we decided to go back. And as soon as we walked in, he was like, "Oh, hey, why don't you guys give us a hand?" And we're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." Said, "We need to fill the buffet for our lunch. There's the stuff. You guys remember how to do it? Go for it." And we actually literally got to be there and like fill the lunch buffet with the pizzas that we got to make, and we got to experiment and do whatever we wanted.
You got conned out of free labor.
Basically.
I love this guy so much.
But it was so much fun to do, and that's just like a food thing again that just kind of makes me like, it's something I'm always going to remember.
So a friend of mine, this is not really a long story at all, but a buddy of mine, he used to work at Hungry Howie's, and there's in the food industry you have rushes and then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of jobs are like that, but especially in the food industry, there's really 3 hours of work, like hard work, and then it's 5 hours of mostly play.
Yeah.
So he worked at Hungry Howie's, and what they would do is he would just make different pizzas, and then at the end of the day, take them home with him. Well, he made a Mountain Dew and Doritos pizza.
How do you put Mountain Dew on a pizza?
It wasn't bad.
What?
You didn't answer the question.
Yeah,
how do you
like,
put Mountain Dew on the pizza?
How does that physically work?
The dough.
Oh, you
infuse it into the dough.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. I may have to try that sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, just replace a small portion of the water. That's interesting.
Yeah.
They
So
probably
it was
wouldn't
like,
take that much either.
and it was subtle. Like you like a little hint of Mountain Dew, but it was mostly a Dorito pizza. But it was pretty good.
Dorito pizzas are okay, I guess.
Yeah. The best pizza I've ever had. Actually, I might have said this earlier in the podcast. I don't know if I did. If I did, well, whatever.
Yeah, it was before.
It was before.
Yeah.
Okay. So the best pizza I ever had was there's a place called the Mitten in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
They make a chicken and waffle pizza.
Ooh.
The pizza is made of waffle, and like that's the crust, and then it's like a white glaze, and like, dude, it's so good. It's so freaking good. It's really good.
Where's this place? We're
It's
going.
called the Mitten. The Mitten in Grand Rapids. It's also a brewery, so.
We're going right now.
But they don't just make like beer; they make custom sodas there. So they make their own root beers, their own like black cherry sodas. Really, really cool place.
All right. Let's wrap this podcast and everyone get in the car.
Yeah, we're
going to Grand
the Mitten.
Rapids.
That's only a 2-hour drive. That's no problem at all.
It's almost 3.
Yeah, it's like 2.5, I think,
Yeah.
something like that.
My favorite part about your story, Jonathan, is the teacher saying, "Hey, everyone, get in my van."
Yeah, yeah. He was just, like, yeah, just get in the van.
So there used to be a CC's around here, but I think it closed. Because I used to always see ads growing up for a local CC's pizza, and then just never.
Were they at the movie theater?
No, like.
Because I remember seeing CC's ads like before movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I've been up here, I don't think I've seen one.
So there's something similar to CC's. I don't know if it's like a national chain or like a local chain, but it's called Stevie B's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to have one.
Yeah.
It closed.
Yeah, we used to have a Stevie B's, and that was awesome. I loved it.
See, I didn't like them. I didn't, for some reason, I couldn't get behind their flavors. It just didn't really sit right with me. I mean,
I don't know, dude. Their dessert pizza was like they had a Boston cream pizza. Oh,
I liked certain things from there, but I was never big on their desserts.
I was a kid when I went though. Like I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me it was different because I would go. It's like, oh, we get pizza and we get to play video games and then we get to eat Boston cream pizza. It's like, yeah, like I used to be a little chubby kid. That was awesome.
All right, so very serious question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And I want you to be utmost honesty on this. Pineapple on pizza.
No.
Wow.
That breaks my heart.
So the question of pineapple on pizza is followed with the question of pineapple and ham on pizza. I have a controversial take. I think pineapple belongs on pizza. I think ham does not. I think ham can work on a meat lover's pizza. If you got sausage, bacon, ham, cool. That's fine. I can eat that and enjoy that. But sausage and ham together, or not sausage and ham, but ham and pineapple together, no. Regular pepperoni or cheese pizza with pineapple.
I do like, I like the pepperoni and the pineapple combination, but I grew up with the ham and pineapple. Like that was the thing. And I remember one of the first times that I ever got a pizza that had actual, like, because it used to be called Canadian bacon and pineapple. But I remember one time I ordered a pizza up here, and I was like, yeah, Canadian bacon, pineapple. They put actual bacon pieces on the pizza, and that was amazing.
Yes.
Like, bacon and pineapple are just incredible together.
I'm not saying I wouldn't try it. I'm open to trying new foods, but yeah, I haven't really tried it yet. So I don't know. I don't really know what my opinion is.
No. Well, and that's the thing is, and it's what's great about food is it's a taste, literally. It's some people like certain things, some people don't like certain things, and it's like no matter how you break it down, though, food is kind of an essential part of life.
Yeah.
Without it, we pretty much starve. Whether it's for love, you go on a date, yeah, you go get food. For happiness, when you're happy, you eat. When you're sad, you eat. When, that type of thing is like food just automatically just becomes the norm for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love the old saying that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And so, like, I fell in love with my wife because she could cook. I fell in love with my mother-in-law because she can cook, kind of.
Hi, Jonathan's mother-in-law.
All right, John's gonna throw that grenade. I'm just gonna hide.
Yep. No, she can cook, you know, and it's like it made me really just happy to be around them. You know, and that phrase is very true to so many people. Like, if you really want to make a man happy, make them some food.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we wrap this up and we decide to leave your ear holes for the night, we want to give you ways into our hearts. There are certain
Say
Yes.
ear holes.
ear holes. Yes.
I didn't
We weren't expecting him to say that.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt my ear holes.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we leave your ear holes for the night,
Mm-hmm.
we want to share ways to let you into our hearts. And it goes a little something like this. Pizza.
Sushi.
Pizza.
Mac and cheese.
Yogurt.
Go-gurt.
Banana pudding.
Frozen yogurt.
Warm yogurt.
I'm sensing a yogurt theme here.
No. I'm running out of yogurts, Dave.
Yeah, we're running out of yogurts to go here. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been an incredible time for us. I'm hoping you guys enjoy it. Let us know what you think. If you listen to the podcast, if you like it, if you enjoy it, if you don't, send us a message on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Like us, like the page, do whatever else. Let us know that you're out there. It's always a joy to see the support come in from you guys, and again, I thank you so much to listening to Carry Out Conversations. I'm John.
I'm Dave.
I'm Noah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Noah just hit puberty.
I'm Noah.